Good morning. I'm going to try and prove to you that there are gods and that God is alive and well and has been looking down on human behaviours for thousands of years. So that's a Christian church. And the charming woman that was singing that, who's a dead ringer for the woman I met representing the illegitimate law firm that protects the British monarchy. Yeah, that was the Arnott Manderson Company. So there's a Renee Fleming lookalike, and the Flemings are a massive part of the frauds and the profiteering in world history, as you already know. Okay, this one probably is the most innocent, and what I'm taking you to now is the proof that God does exist, and the proof that the man from the Jehovah's yesterday asked me to bring forward was the question: why would God stand by and look at all of the false religions and their creation without doing anything about it? Okay, and the answer to that is that God does do lots about it, but when God does it, there's an attempt to cover it up. So that's a Google map of a place called Vesuvius and I'm beginning to realise all of the mushroom jokes, because when you look at that from
tell everybody.
Alzheimer's disease.
It's fast becoming the greatest medical challenge.
Okay, we have a little diversion problem.
820,000.
There's no way to prevent
Million by 2021.
cure 40 million people.
So this comes into the story because the Bocelli name is all around Veii, yeah, which is the sanctuary to the god Apollo, and this one is struck blind, but he's invited by the New World Order to sing with Haley Westenra in George W. Bush's presence. Yeah, he's been struck blind. There is a God, and I know it. And Renee has got ever so much courage because she's one of the members of that infamous family. Yeah, and she sings all of the religious fraud jokes. Yeah, and she is in the power base that still owns the world. But let me get back to the evidence. Yeah, that they will not let me talk about without cover-ups. So I think I'll just take down that YouTube channel in case they keep playing the diversionary card. Okay, and maybe I should not have done that because that takes us back. But this is the Wikipedia site on the Villa Papyrii in Naples. Okay, and they are amazingly bold because they declare that it's there and that all of its exhibits are now in the J. Paul Getty Museum. That's the gourd joke with two Christian crosses in the middle of it. In America, far from home. Okay, Epicureanism and the library, the excavation of the building after it had been dug out of the rubble after it exploded in AD 79. That's the town of Herculaneum. And what we could have done is to take you to the Up Pompeii comedies by Frankie Howard, and that would show you how the whole thing is a joke. Okay, so it's the Villa of the Papyri, in Italian Villa Dei, yeah, of the deity Papyri. Okay, but this is not about the creation of God and God's creation of the universe and the beautiful city that is Naples. It's about the writing of his replacement, the messianic person that is Jesus Christ. And as I told you in yesterday's video, they're not content with that, because when they get Jesus Christ launched around 100 AD, yeah, after their home has been buried in rubble under Vesuvius, they then launch the story about Muhammad in the cave using all of the characters like Joseph. Joseph's not in the list this time, but Mary is. And the new name for Jesus is Isa, the financial services joke. Okay, the Villa Suburmia was perhaps, yeah, you cannot say that with certainty, yeah, because these are the most criminal family in the whole world. They've defrauded the whole world. They've created all of the religious missions, all in the name of false messianic human gods. Yeah, and Julius Caesar is mentioned there, and just look at his initials, would you? Julius Caesar. Yeah, the Roman emperors were gods to their people, and earlier than this, yeah, way back when they were fighting the battles amongst themselves for the ownership of the Church of Rome, yeah, they were capable of calling themselves God. And I believe at that time the rival opposition in Rome were people called animists, who believe that the animals on our world are there to be innocent, yeah, and to share the news from the gods. And I firmly believe in that now. Yesterday afternoon, for the second time in my life, I had a visit from a black and white woodpecker, and it sat on that tree out there. And that is the joke about knocking the nails into the wood. The last time I saw one was when I was just a child, and it was on the estate called the Hersal, which was owned by Sir Alec Douglas Home, who was one of the men who carpet bombed the Garden of Eden. But I did not have the wits yesterday to get my camera and to take pictures of that woodpecker. Okay, when you go to the show jumping now, the woodpecker is used to blow the starting whistle for every horse that goes around the fences that are wood lying down on the earth. Yeah, all of it is a joke about the crucifixion, and all of it is really, really sad, but was masterminded by that person. Yeah, it's actually Arius. This is one of the younger people. Yeah, way beyond 79 AD, Lucius kicked in, and he is one of the people that wrote the later chapters. Okay, so it's Arius Calpurnius Piso, yeah, and that is Alpha to Omega on the Paschal candle in the Church of Rome. Okay, so when they released the stories in AD 79, look up Abelard Reuchlin's document on the Piso fraud and the role of Arius Calpurnius Piso. He's the man or the min, and he comes into all of the stories because he is the greatest and most creative member of this family, but he's not as great as God. Yeah, or the gods. Yeah, let me take you now to what they've declared overnight. On Google Maps yesterday, I was wandering around this boundary road, because what you can do is you can drag that little character there and you can take him to all of the viewpoints all around Vesuvius, which is a magnificent mountain. But because it's exploded at a couple of key times in human history, one was at the end of the war in 1945, when the Italian fascists began to cull the returning troops. Yeah, and that's the Monte Cassino joke shared by the Monty Pythons about the loyalists who fought for the Axis countries, the Allied countries rather, or the Italians. You see, they started off as fascists with the Germans, and they were forced to jump ship like they did from Christianity to Islam. Yeah, when they got into troubled times and it was dangerous for them to stay at home, so they flee like the free Dutch, the free Belgians, the free French, to London and the peaceful zones in wartime. Okay, and we've got a whole series of piazzas d'armi that were created by this team, and it creates a lovely triangular structure that looks just like the pyramids in ancient Egypt, and the gods that were actually humans that used to build those as an icon for global fascism, which is now the reason why no one has any funding left, because all of these people now run the central banks. And the bane of my life at the moment is I do not understand who the Pisos, who were all powerful and clever enough to write this story, have become in popular parlance in the 21st century. Yeah, they are still around, and every one of the newspapers are run by people that work for them. I don't know whether or not they're married into the Rothschilds like the Jewish clerical leaders were, but the Jewish stories are highly likely because they're Old Testament chapters, and everything takes you back to Harold Wilson in the Garden of Eden. Yeah, and that comes into the story later on if I have the time. So this place has been reported closed since yesterday when I made the video promising to show you the pictures if my batteries did not run out. Okay, let me show you it. We'll click on the ocean. Yeah, Ostia is a little bit further up the coast in the Roman region. So there we have it, a full declaration that we have in that historical town, a Museo Archeologico Nazionale di Napoli. Yeah, and we've got its English name is Naples. Yeah, it used to be Herculaneum, and there, right in the port. Yeah, so the ships could be launched, and you can see the little harbour there, the Villa of Papyri, and the de thing is spelt like a god or a deity for a laugh. Yesterday it was open for business, and they still have it on Wikipedia, owned by the Pisos, but in that case one of the junior members. Okay. It is massive, and it is impossible to find a viewpoint all the way round. I did that yesterday afternoon. Have a go if you can find somewhere on that circle. Yeah, so you've got Saint Anastasia, Polena Trochia, Massa di Soma, St George and Cremano. I meant to look that up for you. That's St George, and that presumably is the dragon that the family feared so much, breathing fire. Okay, my name is George, and my identity is not being kept a mystery for my own safety. Okay, yesterday I revealed all of the crimes of the new religions that drive the world into wars ever since we discovered the Nile and the Brits and the English speaking peoples began to convert the inner circle knowledge, yeah, into widely publicised jokes about killing people in genocides for religious purposes, or sectarian wars or land grabs all across what used to be the pagan world until about the middle of the 1st century, beyond Jesus. Yeah, and Muhammad was launched in 610 AD, and I've got the pictures that show you that when that story was being released, the family members talked about it, but I believe I've deleted that. I could try and find it again. I showed you the video in yesterday's video. So the uncle of the man that is the father, or has been adopted as the father of Muhammad, who does not appear in any of the story because he's in a cave in the back room, like the Piso family. Yeah, they're ever so busy with their pen or their plume. Yeah, and that is the basis for everything that every worshipper in every religion, yeah, I have not got so much evidence for Judaism. It's a scholarly effort like this one, but all of it is a stitch up, and all of the stories interlock with the same characters, the same temples, the same decision makers, the same money lenders, and all of it takes you into the Rothschilds and the manipulation of the monarchy bloodlines. And that happens in the Italian stories, yeah, with Caligula and Augustine and all of those emperors being involved in the shagging of the Piso women, and the Piso women are called Poppia, and that becomes the poppy joke on Remembrance Sunday. Yeah, it's so big that no one can grasp it, and the magnitude of it and the grandiosity of it. I think I'll stop there now and just let you think on the implications of what I've just said. So there is a God. If you go to the Acts of Gods and what were happening there, floods, fires, earthquakes, even Camilla's brother, because at the Battle of Veii it was General Camilla who fought in that battle, yeah, and Veii is the first place where the Romans engaged in a war against themselves for the power base. It's ever so dangerous to be an elite owner of the world, which is why I make these videos and declare that I'm a poor person with insight. Okay, that will not protect me, but they need to have a conscience now, because God is watching every move that they make ever so closely. Okay, right then. So I think I'll stop there. What else could I show you? And the places all around. So the Bocelli place there is the Almeri joke. Okay, and you've got the San Giuseppe. That's the Joseph joke for the launch of every, and that's Otto the Onions and the Piso family joke, and the onions take you into the French church again, yeah, and all of the massive Frankish jokes that emanate from the spreading of the false religion, not from the Holy Lands, yeah, but it's already well up Italy. Let me take you out and show you where Naples is on the map, and I could sign off with some scenes from Frankie Howard. Yeah, because this is the biggest joke the world did not understand until yesterday. Okay? Yeah, the biggest joke of all. It's the world's biggest secret, which is why none of the investigative journalists will talk about it or investigate it or even expose the massive scandals like I'm prepared to do. Okay, there's a picture of the crater at Vesuvius. There's a picture of the Siki Nutrizone. I'm not sure what that is, but you can see the volcanic shadowy presence hanging over the town. Okay, and right across the way you have North Africa. Yeah, and that is looking down into the places where Hannibal went to. Let me show you what the gods are doing to help with that issue. Okay, so yesterday I started to talk about a series of OneNotes that I've described as I can't remember what the title for the email was, but it was this is the series of images. So there you see Naples, where we have just been to. There we have the Vatican City and the city of Veii, 10 miles away, yeah, which is a haven and a place of worship for the goddess Apollo. Yeah, and that becomes part of the Greek jokes, and all of the churches all across North Africa, all of them have to be divided. Yeah, and there we have the place where they did not want a new god because they're quite happy with the sun god, and that's called Paganica. Yeah, and it's right next door to Laquilla, which is the most earthquake prone region of Italy, and Berlusconi has placed a nuclear plant there so that the gods, who are nice people really, will not dare shake that around. And that was the question that the man from the Jehovah's asked me yesterday. His wife is Italian. I will not tell you any more of the story, but he understands the pathology theory. Yeah, and the dangers of messing with the real gods in the sky, who determine what our universe looks like, and can mop up even what Berlusconi does. Okay, right then. And there we have the statement that Laquilla is the most quake-prone region in Italy. Let me see if I can find you some of God's messages on the stories that we are told by the humans. Okay, there's the place de Veii and the Vatican, only 10 miles away. Yeah, and up here there are magnificent aerial images of creatures and messages from the gods. Okay, and we've got grottos and caves, yeah, so we can have miraculous appearances of virgins, yeah, or Muhammad's. Yeah, and when Muhammad is asked to fight for the American armies in a distant country where he's never met the slightly coloured people that live there, and they're ordinary working people like my dad who went to fight them in Korea, yeah, Muhammad Ali, the boxer, had the decency not to go there and to become an icon for all of the ordinary sporting people and courageous people who were capable of leading the world decently without fighting with his neighbours who he had never met before. Okay? And there's chambered tombs, yeah, where people are capable of resurrections, and all of it launches the literary sector that the Pisos are masters of. But my friends in the skies are amazing as well. Right then, okay, so the walled city of Veii, yeah, and it's between the Fosso Pi Ordi, yeah, the Piso name is everywhere across Italy, the Fossa Val Cheta, and the ancient Chimera, that's the milk jokes, yeah, that Britney Spears shares, and the Pinto jokes when the ships go to America with Columbus, yeah, out of Genoa. That's a combination of God and Noah, all part of the Piso jokes. They have a massive portfolio of jokes about world ownership. And there is the Fleming joke, cause the Valchetta flows a few miles eastward to join the Tiber, that's the tiger in the menagerie. Look at the Gladiator film with the tigers on the chains. All of them are controlled by the world owners, yeah, and all of the elites shoot the tigers or the rare species when they come to power. That's Prince Philip, King Juan Carlos, and now their children, because they're quaking in fear that they're going to be exposed as genocidal leaders for all of biological time. And so there you have, the city of Veii was on the Tiber, hence the tigers as Gladiator entertains, and the Castrol tiger in your tank icons when I was a boy, and that's Castro in Cuba. Okay, it's a massive global mafia operation, and Monte Cassino is not very far away. Okay, that's where they killed the returning troops using the people from America that were supposedly Union leaders, and you've got the caves and the grottos which they use again when they launch Islam. Yeah, and I found again this morning the terrible, horrific pictures of the massacre of the Islamists in India. That was the Amritsar thing. It's unforgivable. But that is the British elites what do that. Okay? And that is an offshoot of what the Pisos did when in 100 AD they wrote the groundworks for the Koran with a K or a QH, like the Krays, who were their publishers in feckin' Israel. That's the Kraish tribes, yeah, members of the Dan tribe, and hosting that, all of it in Tel Aviv as an icon for the Old Testament faith that is supported by the rabbis, which is the rabbit's joke in the menagerie. And it takes you into Hitler's friends in World War II, and that is the Puka, Winnie the Pooh, and all of the jokes about the brownies and the church roofs and the elves and all of the output of Beaverbrook that was published every day through every war in the Daily Express as the propaganda events for the profiteers. Okay, so the Villa Flaminia, yeah, do you get it? That's the Flemings. That is the flamingos flying over the Out of Africa movie with Robert Redford, my wife's biggest hero, the man who writes at the Washington Post for a laugh about America's biggest ever crime, which was electoral fraud, which is what Jim Fetzer wanted to talk about when I wanted to expose this. Okay? Right then, and when you look at that picture there, you have caves and grottos. Yeah, this is just to the north of the holy city, which is the Vatican City, and there you have the bunny rabbits, which are the icons for the connies, the conservatives in Britain, the people that wear the rabbits and the rabbis and all of the laundering religions that got the Nazis out of Germany, through Spain, through the Canaries. I have not found a canary in the portfolio of God's images yesterday yet, but can you see the rabbits? Yeah, sitting right next door to the grottos. Okay, as was laughed at in the Monty Python's film about the life of Brian and the search for the Holy Grail, and the rabbits in those grottos were more dangerous than all of the Christian crusaders, heavily armed with swords, shields and the icon of the cross on their logos for a laugh. That's the red cross all across the crusading joke. Okay, so I'm gonna have to stop now, or so do you see why I picked the Fleming singers? Do you see why I picked the pink colour, which I believe is the colour for cancer victims? And that was coming into the story increasingly, because the pathology thing is uncontestably true. So you'd better get back on the God-fearing ground really quickly, okay? And what they've got is the pyramid joke all over the New World Order story. It's on the American banknotes, it's on everything that happens, and the Bilderberg movement and the involvement of people like Harold Wilson and Sir Alec Douglas Home, who's entitled to be involved because he's a conservative and he's allowed to brutalise everything. That is the Connie jokes about the rabbits. It's in the Godfather movie as well. It's in the Winnie the Pooh movies. All of them have been censored and the sun's gone in. Okay? Right then. So I think I'll stop there and then get on to Roman history, because that is a snappy little... Oh no, sorry. Just to show you that I'm very tense about the authenticity of the oil stories, which is why I mentioned the dinosaur in the park at Veii yesterday. But if you look at that from there, yeah, with the big ears like Prince Charles, and all of the elf jokes and all of the puka jokes about the rabbits and Winnie the Pooh and the rabbits getting stuck in the hole as they try and escape the war zone, yeah, you've got a sleeping fucking elephant. Okay, and here you've got the Franca Lancia country resort. That is the Lancelot joke in the stories that were written by the popes in Rome about all of the kingdoms all around the world becoming decent over the course of time. Okay, there you have the supermarket of Emily. She's the woman in the Spearforth movie that went east from Norfolk, where Michael Grade runs his Ponzi empire, and that's the supermarketo of Emmy of Payu. Pope Pius, the Nazi Pope, Pope Pius the 12th. They've got jokes about this all over Italy. I've never been. There are many Italians in our town. The biggest hotel in our town is the Cross Keys, which is an icon for the cabal that links the Vatican to world ownership. It's ever so sick. Okay, and all of the jokes about Roman history take you into places like Mars and the Martians. Yeah, I'll tell you that later in a separate episode. I'm going to stop here now because the whole fucking thing makes you feel sick. Yeah, and the launch of Islam and the terror that now produces, because the politicians everywhere are bastards. They do not have the courage to work for their country. That is all politicians everywhere, in every tier of the power base. They are total deserters to everything that society could have for free. And I'm intent on bringing that down, and I intend to bring it down this very year. Okay? Everything that I do is in the public eye, and this morning on the email sites I can see that the Able Danger group are in a tiz again. They're planning to meet in London again this week. The whole of their story about their role in life is coming out, and the sun's out again now. Yeah, they do not want to be caught on the wrong side. They have no alternative but to change sides and to let the real story out now. I fear for their welfare if they continue along the cover-up line that every one of our journalists, every one of our media men has taken to protect and to shield the stealing of our world from its people. Okay, bye bye. And the oy vey joke, yeah, so it's at the hub of Christianity, and I always thought that it was an icon for Jews and the Jewish revolutions that led to the deaths of 5 million of those 8 million Jews that were on the earth when the Christianity scam was launched by Arius Calpurnius Piso, who wrote it in that thickened house. Okay? Yeah, so there is a God, and all of those gods are looking down on all of the human abuses that ignore the rules of Deuteronomy. Yeah, because all the rules of Deuteronomy were written by the Pisos too. Okay, it's ever so clever. Okay, and what we've got there is a papyrus recovered from the Villa of the Papyri. Yeah, yeah, and there it is. And how much does that reveal? It's got bullet holes all over it. Right then, and so look it up for yourself. They have not been clever enough to take it down, and a lot of it is in the J. Paul Getty Museum. Let's have a look at that, because I can't remember what's in it. The Pacific Palisades, California. That's Calvary Hill. Yeah, California is a free replication of the Villa of Papyri as it was published in L'Antiquità di Ercolano. Okay? With the move of the museum to the Getty Centre, the Getty Villa is now, as it is now called, was renovated. It reopened on January the 28th, 2006, when this lot were completely safe, because I was then a professor of neuroscience and my attention was elsewhere. Okay? Another Harris. In several scenes in Robert Harris's best-selling novel Pompeii are set in the Villa of Papyri just before the eruption engulfed it. Okay, and this is putting the blame on the world's elite writers like Pliny the Younger. The Piso family are covered so well. When you look at the cave that launches the Koran, it's the uncle that says, do not speak openly about what you have learned from young Muhammad. Okay? And that's from his adopted son. He's being told that the God is not to be talked about, but the adopted son has to keep those things secrets. That's Pinocchio without the strings. All of it for them is a massive joke, and I would hate to see a listing of the Friends of Herculaneum, because that's likely to be the Knights of Malta or some such, and the Malta joke is all over the last video I made. Yeah, and the Anni Anici is the Augustines, and all of it is ever so cowardly and entirely for profit. Okay? Go to Google Maps for yourself really quickly, because they're going to delete that entry really, really soon. Okay? Let's just show you again that you can look right down the dragon's mouth, yeah, and you can see right in to the burning pit. These are the people that in the Koran story are able to confirm that the gods are launched by the Jewish angels. That's Gabriel and Michael, and that is the taking the Mickey joke, yeah, and taking the Piso joke. I think you now understand, and you know that every film that Hollywood makes is a joke about the Piso authors being more powerful than the gods in the skies. And there we have the GG joke about the gods in the skies, and the GGs are the horses that translate as hippos, yeah, when you take this into the Greek myths. And the GG and the Piso name is hippos in Greek. And the Nile is Pi, and all of it, and the life of Pi, and the piano movies, even on the beaches in New Zealand that are entirely owned by the Brits. Yet the more powerful you are and the more capable you are of shooting down people in the name of false religions like they did at Amritsar, that is how the world has been run so far. The gods do not approve of that, which is why the sun comes out every time I make a new disclosure. And that is the pyramidal structure about the joke of the Piazza de Armi that is shared on Wikipedia, and it's shared with all of the jokes about the Vatican being 10 miles away from the Oy vey joke. Right then, signing off. And the rest of it is just so clever that no human can grasp it until they make me unemployable. They are gonna regret that really, really a lot as the world turns towards open civilization. Thank you, David Cameron, for taking my proposition seriously. If you become genocidal, you now realise what the implications are. And I have a Doctor of Philosophy, and it was given me in Woolwich, and I posted this morning the whole of the terror threat that comes now from people like Boris Johnson, and sadly from David Cameron before his son died. He now realises the risks about terror being imposed on the world's innocents, and his son's name I cannot remember.